Hello everyone, welcome back. If this is your first time, I welcome you. I'm Miss Darling and I'm in my studio. And today we're going to be making something similar to this. And this is a nifty little pocket that you can either glue into or just insert into your junk journal. And it's made from a single sheet of paper. And we open it up and there's a place for, journaling right here, and open it up further and we see not so much space for journaling, but, just an interesting piece to have in there. And so this is what we're going to make today. And this is what it looks like on the front, and this is what it looks like on the back. There's washi tape. I made this some while ago, so it's been a little while. I had to reacquaint myself with what I did. So I have washi tape here on the end, and then this is, we used to call it puff paint, but now I guess they call it enamel accents. And I use that there, and I use that again here to encircle the lady and highlight her. And here's a tag that I slipped into it. And, you could slip a tag in, you could slip in a bookmark, an art card, whatever you want. And I used those same enamel accents around the lion, I guess it is. And, King of Coffees. Apparently this one drinks coffee. So, anyway, what we make today is not going to look like this, but we will work on what is appropriate for the paper that we're using today. So, here's one of the sheets that I'm going to show you how I made it. I'll show you with this sheet. Here is a finished one of the same thing, so you can see how that's going to come out in advance. And if you open it all the way up, you would see this on the other side. I thought this was a really cool sheet of paper. It came out of a book that I have, probably on book about plants, and then this was kind of an index, some kind of table at the back of the book. And I love the colors, and so I'm going to make a second one out of this paper. And then we'll also, if we have time, make smaller one. And these I made out of paper from a book of hymns. And I thought this was pretty cool to have these musical staffs running throughout it. And so once we get the basics made and they're ready to be decorated, we will be doing a little bit of that as well. So let's jump straight into telling you or showing you how I made this one. So we start with a single sheet of paper. It can be anything of your choice, and it can be any size you want. Obviously, the bigger the paper, the bigger the finished product will be. And so now I'm going to just trim off this one edge that's pretty ragged. And I'm going to trim down the other side to sort of match it. Be very careful when you use blades. I have slit my finger open one time, so I try to be extra careful whenever I'm using a blade. So I'm going to leave this, not trim that off. I think that's okay. Oh, I've got a problem here. Not exactly what I want to use. So let's see about finding another one that's maybe in a little better shape. Now this has this, the table on this side, and the reverse side has something different. And let me see if I can pull out a sheet that is similar on both sides. Okay, so I want to trim off this side. And that's kind of damaged down there as well. Let's keep looking. Here's one that if you don't succeed, try again. Okay, so we'll trim off a little bit over here. All right, here we have the word culture. Have it. I think if I were to open it up to see the front, I think I'd like to see the word culture up there. So I'm going to put that on the inside, and you make your own individual decision on which side of your paper you want to fold and have on the inside. So we fold it in half, okay, fold it up in half, and then we're going to fold it in half again. So we wind up with something that is 1/4 the size of our page. Okay, how simple is that? And now I'm going to trim a little more so everything is a little more evened up. All right, so we went from folding it in half this way to folding it in half this way, and now we're going to take the upper right hand side. If we open it up, our fold is on the left side, so we're going to take the opposite side and we're going to bend it back, and when the fold is up here at the corner, just crease that down. So we have this triangle that we formed there. Okay, so we go from here down to here. Now we're going to flip it over at the other side, and we're going to do the same thing, but this time we work from the left corner, and we pull it down until we get it nice and lined up in the corner, and then just press it down. And I always like to burnish all my folds afterwards with a nice tool to get a really nice crease. Now, in this particular one, I took my triangular flap, this here, and I decided to, instead of leaving it out here, I would fold it to the inside. And because I did that over here, I'm going to leave it out on the other side. I'm going to try to make two companions here, but I want them to be somewhat different. And so now I'm going to flip it over, and you can see that I have two triangles on the outside. On this one, I left it outside, so on this one, I'm going to do the opposite and fold it to the inside. Okay, so then I wind up with the back looking like this. Similar, yet different. And I'll burnish that down. And that's all there is to it in terms of constructing what we're going to be working with. Now at this point, when I was working on these, it was at this point that I decided to take some of my distress ink and distress the ends and the folds and whatnot. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I want it to look a little more vintage, and so we're going to ink around the whole thing, including the folds. And I'm going to lift this up so I can ink along this fold here as well. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same to the back. And then, you know, go all the way around the perimeter. And let's not forget, I did the fold already, but let's not forget the bottom of the flap, especially if it's going to be on the outside. Okay, now I'm going to open it up and fold it back, and I'm going to ink all the way around both sides of this inside section. Now, on my particular paper that I'm working here, you're not going to notice this inking too much. You know, if you have something similar that you're working with, and you don't want to do this step because it's not going to even hardly show up, that's okay. You know, everything is optional. But I'm going to open it fully now and look at places that I have all the way on the inside that have not been inked yet. Kind of made a smudge there, didn't I? So because I did that, I'm going to kind of add more in there. In fact, I'm going to smudge up this whole section here, so it looks nice and grungy. Okay, so now we're back to where we started from on this one. That one's inked up, and now I just have this one to do. Okay, I think I have that now. That was a lot of inking. So we're back to two that are similar yet different. And then we have this. And so let me pull out another sheet of the musical paper and take care of that real quick. Again, I trim down till I'm very close to the printed area. Okay, so we have this side and we have that side. And so I think I'll have this on the inside. So I'm going to fold this up in half. Then we fold over in half again. And then I'm going to trim it off one more time. Okay, so we have it folded in half and half again. Take the upper right corner, fold it back, matching it up to the corner, and then just pressing down. We flip it over, and this time we pull down from the left corner, match it up with the opposite, corner, and then just press it down, and then burnish our folds so they're nice and tight. And then it's up to you whether you want to leave this out and tuck that one in, leave them both out, tuck them both in. You know, it's completely your choice. I think I'm going to leave both of mine out for now, and but I will, so I don't forget, I'm just going to real quickly go around and ink this one up as well. Okay, we just want to make sure we have all the edges inked up and all the folds inked up, and then we put everything back to the shape we want to go with. Okay, so I hope you're with me so far. And so I'm going to clip these three together, and now it's a matter of deciding how we're going to dress them up further. All right, because these are very neutral, one idea is to perhaps pull out some black imagery. One could introduce a color or two. That's completely up to you, the designer. I think maybe I will go with something black on these, and then maybe add a little bit of accent color over here. But everything's really going to boil down to what I have on hand to work with. So here I keep some of my black imagery, and I have a bunch of washi tape stickers here that this is plant paper, so I think it might be nice to work with some plants, and kind of like that. And you know what? I'm just going to make decisions and plop them down. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time with this, and you know, just go with my gut instincts right off the bat, and hope I'm able to wind up with two companions that work well together. And so I'm going to just, let me push this up a bit. I'm going to drop this in here. And it's going across there, so I'm going to just slide my blade under there and cut that in two. So when it's in this form, you know, it crosses over from one part of the sheet to another. Let's see what we want to do back here. I like that so much. I'm thinking maybe I might pull this flap out and go with 2 flaps out rather than one tucked in. So what else have I got here? You do something like that. It's kind of different. That's too wide. That has more of the tall simplicity feel to it, like I have going over here. So that's I think, a nice contender. It's just a little bit on the lighter side. That's a little darker, but not quite as sleek looking. I might not have something. Is that what I have on the other? No. I like the strength, the darkness of the one on the other side. And it'd be nice if I could find another similar to that. It looks like everything else I have is more on the light side. Okay, well, oh, what's this? There we go. That has the darkness that I was looking for, but also the sleekness to match what I have on the front. So yes, that's what we're doing with this. And we'll just slide under here and slit that back open. Okay, that's a nice first beginning. And now let's see what I would do for a companion. I'm going to have to go with flaps out on both sides of this one as well. I just really do need this big block of lighter color there so that a focal image will actually show up on it. So if we did something like that, I'm going to have to trim off a couple places if I did that. That's really interesting, but I don't think it works too well from a design standpoint. I could, that's a little bit wide at the top. That could work. So now, before I actually burnish one down and commit to it, I'm going to see what else I have. Ooh, I think maybe that could work. Let's say if I did that on one side and that on the reverse side, that's looking good together. And it's not, they're very different from the look of that, but not too close either. Similar, but not, definitely not too close. So that's what we're going to do. And I think this one shows up better. I scrunched up my light section here, not realizing I might live to regret doing that. I like it better with a little lighter background there, but it is what it is now. So we'll drop this in right about there. Okay, flip it over, and okay. I'm liking what we're doing so far. Hope you are too. So we'll have those, and then these. And all right, I'm going to pause my video here for a while so I can kind of look through stuff and I don't waste your time. So I'll come back when I know exactly where I'm going to go at this point. I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. I've made a few decisions and we'll just try them out and see how they do. So I've got a stamp here. So I want to position this up somewhere about here. Hope that'll be a good spot. Yes, like that. And then I'll go with this. Oop. thing is, if you get something down there and you decide later you don't really like it that well, and it's, a stamped area, then you just cover it over with some paper and do something different. You're never really stuck with your first choice. I know we all like to feel our first choices are the best, but sometimes they aren't. Alright, now back to this one. I've got this sticker, and I'm going to use the same sticker on both so that I have some continuity there. Except this is not a sticker. I have to glue it on. Okay. Hate it when that happens. But we'll just proceed on. This one is going to overlap onto the flap as well, and I will need to cut it. This might not have been the best idea, since this is thicker. It's not real thin like the washi tape sticker. So we did it, but a little bit sloppy. I'm going to have to just trim that off, clean it up a bit. I'm not real thrilled with this product here because of the shininess. I like everything to be a matte finish, and these are so shiny that I then have to come back with clear gesso or a matte Mod Podge and kind of go over that to take that shine back. But I'm trying to use them up and get rid of them, and I guess this is how I intend to do that. So I think this time I'm going to cut first. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. But I didn't think this would be as hard to cut through as it turned out to be. So we will adapt and find another method to achieve our madness. So this is going to drop right in there. And the handle will wind up on the flap. It should be rather easy to match up, I think. We'll see. Yep, pretty easy. So I'll take down that shine later. Now you can leave your flaps to flap open, like so, or you can pin them down, which I think I'm going to do. What I can only pin it to, the sheet that it's sitting on, because I want to be able to open it up fully. If you pin it all the way through to the next surface, you're not going to be able to open it up. So I've got these little, I don't know what you call them. They're brads with a I need my hole punch, and so I'm going to kind of come up about a 1/4 inch from the bottom, about the same distance in from the side. Make a little hole. Press that through, and it opens up on the reverse side. Now, that's all the further one can open this up, because we're doing this. I think that looks rather cool. And I'm going to do the same to the back. Just eyeball it. And these hinges on the back, you want to turn so they don't cross over the fold. In other words, I'm pressing them down vertically because my fold's right there. All right, so putting this all together, we have this and we have this so far. I like that. I like it so much, I'm going to do it to the other one as well. You don't have to do this. If you want it to be, want to be able to fully open it up all the way, then you don't want to do this step. But using enamel accents, let me show you what that looks like. Here's one in black. Using this product, you can, put a dot down there and just make it look like a bolt was put in there, so you have I do that a lot, where I get the look of something like this, but it isn't actually that. Okay, I'm going to have to come into the image a bit on this one. Oh, it's a slightly different color. I want to be consistent here. Just push it through and spread the little wings apart, going vertically so they don't overlap the fold. And so there we have our front and our back so far. And okay, I think I'm pretty well going to not do too much of anything at this point. I think that's totally enough for the front, and I don't mind the back being more sparse. And so, at least for now, that's all I'm going to do with those two. And for the sake of time of this video, let's just press on at this point and look at some ideas for our musical, our smaller little musical ones. Okay. So I really do like staying with the neutral color. I think maybe after all I won't try to, although they don't show up too well. This is busier paper, and the imagery is more noticeable. Here it's, the words, the type that's there is very light as compared to these notes are very dark. So on second thought, I'm probably going to have to go with something that has color in it, something that will really stand out against the paper. And so I'm going to just put everything of my black imagery away. It would be nice if I open it on the right side. Okay, so that's it for that. So now, what to do color-wise. I'm not going to do any stamping on these. I don't think it would show up very well. And so, dilemma. Birds or butterflies? Well, maybe try some birds on one of them and butterflies on the other. Let's see what we got here. I want them strong enough that they, are easily seen, because otherwise what's the point? And you just waste waste your ephemera. Well, these are stickers, and so that'll be real easy and quick to drop down on there. I'll point him up at an angle. Now I'm going to leave these with a flap on one side folded back and the flap on the other side folded out. Okay, sorry, I had an interruption there from a cat, so I'm back. And I have a little direction that I think I'm going to go in at this point. And the first thing I want to do, I've got my birds on the covers down, and so I thought maybe I'd try and add a little bit of fabric in here on these, possibly. Add some color. So like maybe so. And let's see. I think I like that. And over on the other one, we got warmer colors. And what have I got over here? Do I have anything? Or will this warmer? I can maybe, we'll use a little different shape. But a piece off of the seam. Off of the same thing. So kind of maybe drop some of that in there, and then I want to maybe let a little bit more of that rust color show at the top. Yeah, so okay, here goes. You want to do that. This glue, I maybe need a new one. It seems like it plugs up constantly on me. It's very frustrating. I think we'll edge this with some ink. Yeah, that's better. Now bear in mind when you make these that if you stick ephemera of some kind, like a tag or something, down in here, you'll be covering up temporarily, you know, the back, so it may or may not always be showing. And so that's what I'm doing there. And then over here, see, look, it's plugged up on me again already. Ugh. I've just about had it with you. Ugh. Have this other one, the hole is bigger, but it's also easier to, you know, do that. Get a big glob going that you didn't really want to have. Okay, so, alright, flip it over to the back, and I thought back here I'm going to slide in this wonderful honeybee. Okay, drop that in there, and then I'm going to, I always have to have a butterfly. Ugh. This is really driving me crazy. I don't get enough glue out of one and I get too much out of the other. So we'll move to a glue stick. Alright, there's that one. And then over here, I've got a dragonfly. So we'll use our glue stick on the dragonfly. It's got a lot of small parts. Okay, so our dragonfly is going to drop right in there. And then we're going to combine that with this guy. Don't know what this is. Just a little bug of some kind. That's going to overlap right into here. And lastly, I got another butterfly for that upper section. Okay, so there's our backs, and here's our fronts. Looks like back's better. I guess I'm just drawn more to the colors on the backs. So now on the inside, one could leave it like that. One could maybe, if you have some small note paper, you could glue on top of that so that there's some lined paper there for someone to journal on. Because, you know, unless you do something else of that nature, it's going to be, you know, pretty much impossible for someone to journal on something like this. Or you could just use it simply like a pocket where you can stick some little tags or bookmarks or whatever you have in there. And so what I'm going to do on this one, like on the other, I had the real brads, and so I'm going to do a faux brad on these using the enamel accents, as I told you about. So you just have to be careful on these that you put them somewhere safe without touching them too much, and because you're going to have to let this dry, and you definitely don't want to smear it. So on this one, I think I'll put one over here and one over here and one up here. And we'll put one up here as well. Okay? See how just that little bit adds so much and makes it unique and just really fun. And you know, they're just adorable and look finished. And that's what you want. So I'm going to take these right away and go put them somewhere else where I'm not going to smear them. And so here we have the finished items. Okay, here's one. I took the enamel accents and decided to dot all the way around to kind of hide the part of the plastic that this is sitting on. That's just, I maybe should have trimmed away and didn't. But anyway, so I did that. And then on the inside, I made these little note sheets and glued that in so there's a place to journal. And then you turn it around to the back, and I stuck one of those in here as well. So that's what I've done with that one. This one, the accent enamel kind of spread on me. I don't know if that was because it's sitting on a piece of plastic or whether I had it slightly tilted. Anyway, got a little blobby, little messy up in there, and you know, that's life in the junk journal world. You know, sometimes you have something that comes out really great, and then other times something can get spoiled. And again, in here I put a little sheet so it can be journaled on, and then in the back I'm sticking another one in here, and in place of a tag. But of course one can stick tags and bookmarks and things of that nature in those, whatever you want. And then here I finished off with putting the little faux brads in there, and you know, and then this is what it looks like on the back, and here same thing. And I put a partial one of those little note sheets in here, and then this is what that looks on the back. So you know, you can do all sorts of things. This is just a small sampling of how you might think about decorating them. And so I hope this has been helpful to you, and you've either got some ideas or inspiration, and I think these little jewels make fantastic things to tuck into a journal and, you know, spruce it up and just, you know, give it a little more character. So, that said, this is Miss Darling calling this a wrap. Bye-bye.